Hello there folks, Steve here. Yeah, out for another walk and a bit of philosophising. Yeah, a few weeks ago I put up a video called Anarchist Bible Studies, and I made that video and I was quite worried for some reason about the response that I'd get. People saying, oh yeah, religion's for fools and what you read in the Bible for, and all those types of stereotypical things really. And I think it's those things that I used to think myself that I feared being projected back at me. Although I was always discreet with my opinions of religions, I always kept it to myself if I thought that some particular religion was kind of a blind faith, or that the people practicing that religion had kind of misinterpreted the teachings. I'm not religious, I've never been religious. I've got nothing against religious people, because it's almost like we're all religious in a different way. We all believe in something, or disbelieve in something. The power of disbelief is just as much as belief. If you can't prove something, then why believe it doesn't exist? Why not just leave belief away? I just don't know. I ain't got a clue, mate. Open-minded. So that's the way I've always been. As a kid, I was born in England, and Church of England were born into religion. I remember in school every day in assembly, reading the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, it was kind of drilled into us, And I always thought religion, Christianity, and that was a little bit kind of antique and old and smelly, and how could we ever follow such ancient books? Surely it's just foolishness, a lot of these thoughts. And like I say, I'm not religious, and but I know a lot of religious people. I played in music in churches, and to me there's no real difference between, say, somebody who's a Christian and somebody who's not. There's like differences amongst all the Christians, or there's different interpretations of the word in all religions. So people from different religions, different faiths or whatever, have got more in common than their own fellow people a lot of the time. Anyway, I see religion as being a little bit of a school. It's as much as I often think, the church and religion's done so much harm for people, leading people into blind faith, diverting people from the true power of creation, from yourself. Obviously, vicars and priests and stuff, they've got their own little, that's their job, so, what can you expect? But like, if you look back at it, we're born into this crazy world, people get into all kinds of religions and get something from it. It's like a school, but I think all of us realise that your own belief system, your own the way you feel and that about life is yours. It's not mine, it's not anyone else's, it's yours. Nobody else can write it down, tell you or anything, it's yours. But in a world of so many people, we're obviously distracted and brought away from spirituality in the first place. We're born into a system of commerce, of trade, of money, of rules and signs and words, and very powerful system that we're born into. So to have a religion, a church, for some it's like a kind of a school to get back to that particular thing. Actually looking at the school, children's educational system, really, I hated it, and I thought that the school system really basically was just an indoctrination system. But now when I look back, I think considering the situation of the world we're in, you know, such a crazy kind of system, that just simple education about physical things, how normal things occur in the world, it just wouldn't probably be enough to survive this world. You know, in the school playground, as a kid, we got knocked about and bullied and argued, and that's where probably most of the learning in our youth in school is like, you know, interaction between each other, interaction between teachers and authority figures, learning to sit at a desk for, you know, 5 hours a day. So it's nothing to do with about like mental education, but more conditioning us for a intellectual battlefield, you know, a psychological warfare. So then if I look back at my school years and say I hate my school years, but obviously, you know, there was something there that I can use, something. So, you know, this thing with the Lord's Prayer, and why have we got 7 days a week, and why have we still got Sundays and that? And so obviously we're born into a system run by a government that's bound by biblical laws. I'm not going to say religious laws, because the Bible is not a religious book in that sense. It's a book. In fact, the word Bible means library. So it's a book, a set of books. You know, and it plays a massive role. When you go to other countries, you notice the same Bible's been translated and used, you know. And basically the translations are a little bit funny, but basically all Bibles kind of try and mean or say the same thing. At least to the point where the Bible of the country, of that nation, seems to fit its mode of practice, you know what I mean? So keywords and certain ideas and that will fit better to that society. And so that's why the translations of the Bible differ, is because, like, you know, we just live in different cultures. And yeah, so based on that, you know, from my observations, you know, you go to any country, there's a Bible there. You know, you've got freedom of religion, so there's people in each country looking into Buddhism, or, you know, even Satanism, which is a very, you know, Satanism is very confused religion these days. You know, most people are confused about what Satanism is, in my opinion. You know, if you actually look into Satanism, from what I've read, you know, a lot of the commandments are thou shalt not harm anything, you know. A lot of Satanists are vegetarian, you know, none of this, like, you know, but the idea of Satanism is being an adversary. And if you know, we live in a world where people have potentially sort of lost contact to God, then those people need an adversary maybe to remind them who's not God, or who's not the master, you know. And so Satan is a character from the Bible anyway. So anybody really who's looking into Satanism and 666 and the sign of the beast and all of these, like, negative aspects of spirituality, it's the same book, it's the same Bible. The Bible's very clever because it's created all these different characters. And you might think, oh, you're going against the Bible by calling out the Satanists, but it's not really. You know, Satan plays an important role in the Bible. So yeah, all of this mixed together, I thought I'd just do a couple of little videos about the Bible, you know, my interpretations of the Bible. So I'll leave this video here. I've noticed a lot of people kind of online and everything talking about the Bible and what does it mean and how does it connect, and are there UFOs in the Bible, and is there proof that Jesus really exists, or did Solomon's temple? Well, you know, to be quite honest, for me, I'm not interested in the allegorical side of the Bible. I'm interested in the applicable side of the Bible. You know, so if it's a book we're using today, if it's a book, or say the government is using, or whatever the system is applying the Bible, today, then it applies today. It's not about an old documentary. You know, I suppose in a way the idea that it's connected to, you know, that it's proof of existence of this, that and the other gives it some kind of validity. But the fact that the Bible's one of the oldest, apparently, one of the oldest books out there, that's kind of what gives it a little bit of authority. You know, it was there first and it stood its test of time, say. But the actual fact of looking for proof of any of the things in the Bible being real or anything, it's almost like reading Harry Potter and then trying to find out if Dumbledore really existed. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that, like, if you believe in the Bible, or if you have faith in the words within that Bible, then surely you shouldn't really need to look for ancient proof that something is or isn't. You know, surely it's a book, it's ink and paper. And I'll talk about that in another video anyway, but like I say, you know, it's about how to apply it, and that's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in like trying to find allegories or trying to find wisdoms in the Bible that you can find elsewhere. You know, as a spiritual guide, I think it's a terrible book. I can't find anything in there. Well, there's a few little pieces, but most of the book explains death and destruction, rape, murder, killing, genocide and all of this lot. So, you know, if you was to pick up a spiritual book, I'm not going to mention any books, but if you just pick up a spiritual guide, you know, it talks about meditation, enlightenment and self-observation, these types of things, then you would learn a lot more, you know. And so I'm very careful about talking about the Bible because it's a very confusing book and I don't think it's for everybody to read. It plays an important... It's like a Microsoft Windows operation instruction manual, you know, for engineers. You know, it's well beyond most people because we're simple people. You know, in a way, the Ten Commandments and the Lord's Prayer is about all we need to actually get from the Bible to actually endure its power. Probably, I don't know. Well, maybe I do. But anyway, I'll talk about that on the next video, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheerio.